Hi, everyone. Welcome to the channel. Welcome back to the channel, whatever it may be. I hope you're all having a wonderful day. Let me know if you can hear me okay, because I did have some audio issues that I had to fix, and it took me right up until I just pressed go live. So I'm hoping you can all hear me okay. Uh, yeah. We'll go down the list. Little Bear, hello, thank you for being here. I gifted the rest of my free memberships today. I tried one other day and it would not work. Ginger, thank you so much for being here. Stella, thank you for being here. And Cassandra, the file as a whole would exist in a database. I was kind of wondering that myself. Working in healthcare as a nurse, pretty much everything is in a database now. But I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure about, we'll just call it CPS. It's called Child and Welfare here, but um, because those things have been breached and can be breached. So I wasn't sure if if they had theirs in a database. However, uh, healthcare certainly seems okay with doing it, so I assume they would as well. If a file got lost, it might be the record of the most recent visit, notes taken by hand, not yet typed. Possibly that did get lost in staff turnover. Some good thoughts there, Cassandra. Stella, Stella, Sky Painter. Oh, good, you can hear me. And when I did the playback on my last video, it had an echo. So I come up early tonight. I come up here around 6. to work on it and get it fixed. And honestly, it was just before I pressed go live that I felt I finally had it sorted out. So if I sound echoey, you guys probably noticed it in the last live. Um, Let me know because I think I have it fixed. I hope I have it fixed. Joyce, thank you for being here. Nature Walks, thank you. Donna, thank you. Um, Child welfare and family service records are typically held much longer, about 20 years or more, to allow former children in care to access their files. Is that also okay? I did not know that. Thank you for that information. I know there's two other lives going on right now. Uh, I knew Sham was going live, so I thought I was gonna go around 5, and then I thought, well, if I set it up for around 7, she'll probably be done by then, but I just checked the notices and I see Cher's live as well. So, I know some will catch it on the replay. That's no problem, and we'll have some people coming in as the other lives, uh, Gustav, as the other lives are finished. Um, Hello to everyone, Gustav. Hello. Um, so tonight we are going to go over the Shannon, Charmaine, and Melissa. But we love you. Thanks, little bear. I think we're all pretty good. You can't watch everybody at once. It's impossible. Uh, I've watched 2 creators one time at once, but that's about the extent of it for me. Uh, I hope everyone's doing well, and I don't know what everybody's weather's like. I hope some of you are enjoying some nice weather. It is cold here today. Yesterday, I had the windows cracked, and I think no, we had the stove going last night. The night before, we didn't have the stove on. And but now today is freezing. Freezing. We tried to go without heat downstairs on at least one of the floors, but we just couldn't. It was too cold. Uh, but that's what our springs are like. I don't know if it is literally spring yet. Not sure what the actual date is for spring. Um, Today we're going to look at the file, as you guys could see, and you would have noted by the question coming into the live. Do you believe the file is missing? I'm curious. What do you guys think? Put a 1 in the chat if you think, because the way it was worded. Hi, Jessie D. The way it was worded was the file is missing. So, and sometimes things are worded in a certain way that, people would take that as, because I see a lot of people asking about it, right? That file is missing. So and so said the file's missing. And sometimes it's the way something is worded, right? And people take that literally as, some type of conspiracy and the file is missing. Um, if you think the file is missing, put a 1 in the chat. If you think the file can be accounted for, we can figure out where it probably is or where it was. Could be back where it's supposed to be now. If you think that, put a 2 in the chat. Well, even if it was misplaced, it would still be missing, right? Because if it's not where, I mean, it should be where when people say something's missing, it's not where it should be, right? It's not, as a nurse, if I went down back to the filing cabinets, uh, I'm just thinking in my last job, but I'm saying down back, but we're at the nurses station. And I went to chart on somebody and the file's not there, right? And I say, "Oh, the file's missing because it's not here where we keep the files." Is it literally missing or it's not in its designated uh area, right? Um where you would typically find it. Um and I've had that happen. I've had that happen and I've had to go down and say, "Oh, I went to chart on so and so and I can't find that file or the chart or whatever." Um and lo and behold, we usually find it. And typically when that happens, usually I know as a nurse, when I go to look for so and so's file slash chart, whatever you want to call it, and it's not there, um, I can pretty much guarantee there's something going on. There's something going on, and there's a reason why that's not in its designated spot because somebody else took it. And there's something going on that's causing them to have to go through that, right? And yeah, check some things out to see what's been going on, right? With that individual or those individuals in this case as Lily and Jack. Uh Before we go on to that though, because that's going to be a little bit of a longer topic, let us go to the other topic I had there. Did you guys hear about the two kids here in Canada? I believe one was in Manitoba, one is here in Nova Scotia, who were plotting a School attack. Did everyone hear about that? That's some crazy shiz. And I mean, we just had one here in Canada. We just had that happen here in Canada. Um, at Tumbler Ridge. And if these two kids, yeah, it is scary stuff, Ginger. And if these two kids hadn't been caught, hi hiker, thanks for being here, Joyce. Yep, you heard. Um, Yeah, if they hadn't have been caught. And by the way, it was the US who prompted Canadians, right? The RCMP. It was Interpol. And it's happening here in the US too. It's horrible. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Terrible. So we'll bring up the latest article on that. I'll go over to my Facebook. Or wait now. I'll bring up the national. Um, so the one here in Nova Scotia is a 15-year-old, and it's actually a female. I think they were saying male at first, but it's actually a female. And the other one is I believe, a 13-year-old, and it's a male. Uh, yeah, so last night I got up and I was checking out the news on my Facebook. That's about all I look at on there. It's the news and the missing cases that have come out, and that's when I saw that. And And so I was reading about that and looking at different articles about it. And and uh and then Ginger sent me an email just as I had was in the middle of reading it, and told me to check out CBC there, that they had a sorry, I'm trying to type at the same time, that they had an article on it as well. I wanted to bring up the national one because they did a pretty good job. Actually, I could probably just bring up the one you sent me, Ginger. Yeah, I think I will. Just keep in mind if they say male in Nova Scotia, it's actually a female because I think some channels were saying that it's a male. Hi Stephen, thanks for being here. Anybody else who came in? Yeah. So some of you heard it but didn't read it or watch it. And there's also a new creator out, not a new creator, a new video out about Lilly&Jack by a different creator who actually has in the millions of subs. And I've never heard of her before. And I happened to come across it last night. I'll have to take myself on screen because I'm probably going to freeze. Um, and First, I looked at it, and of course, I thought it was AI because everything is AI. And outside of the creators you guys know of that are actual creators. Um, so I bypassed it. And I just thought, oh, AI. And then I kind of looked at the name again because you can kind of tell from the AI names or from the names that it's AI. And So they just have certain names that you get used to it and you read it and you go, oh, yeah, that's AI. And you bypass it. So I read this one again and I was like, no, that doesn't sound like AI. And it was only 36 minutes long, and the AI ones like to make them, an hour or more. So I actually checked it out, and it's a good video. Um, so if you're sick of watching all of us creators that you've been watching, um, just teasing. This is another creator who has touched on it's good to listen to somebody else and how they present it, and I did fall asleep. um, it was after I was up to go to the washroom and looked at finished watching the CBC on the two teenagers plotting, and then I saw that and I put that on play and I fell back asleep. But so I did miss part of it that I'll listen to later tonight. But I'll show that to you guys as well. And her name and her channel name is KallMeKris. Have any of you guys ever heard of that channel? I think it's out of the US, I believe, from what I gathered, just from what I heard her say, excuse me, in the beginning there, but I could be wrong.
The other in Nova Scotia taken into custody, accused of planning simultaneous attacks on schools in their communities. Police allege that the pair had been talking about those plans online since early this year. In a moment, we'll get some analysis from a criminologist who's a former police officer. But first, let's check in with Mira Baines, and let's start with what we know about the Nova Scotia suspect, Mira.
Yeah, that suspect is a 15-year-old from this community, Bridgewater, Nova Scotia, and was arrested on Tuesday. It's a community of roughly 10,000 people, and police allege the plan was to murder multiple students at Parkview Education Center. That's a high school of about 900 students. And while the planning, they say, wasn't imminent, the weapon wasn't even clearly laid out yet. But still, it's a big shock for the community. The mayor of Bridgewater says he's shaken and he thanks police.
This is obviously a very serious incident, very concerning. Everyone is reacting with the same level of extreme concern. But coming after Tumbler Ridge, it becomes that much more real. And so everyone's basically just questioning how we got to this point.
And there have been a number of charges that this teen is facing. They include conspiracy to commit murder, uttering threats to cause death. And the teen is also being investigated for hate crime offenses. And so they said that there could be more charges to come. And Bridgewater police also gave a few more details about what they found when they executed searches. And they found imitation weapons, an imitation pipe bomb, imitation assault rifle, and clothing with hate symbols, but they didn't say what kind of hate symbols. This is Deputy Chief of the Bridgewater Police.
In between the online chat and the chatter between the two individuals, they've been talking about it for a period of time. And there's actually some documentation that we were able to find in our search yesterday. There was handwritten notes and mapping made out of the school that we located through our search yesterday. And then, of course, we've seized multiple electronic devices.
You know, there's still basic things that we don't know about these two cases. For example, in Bridgewater, the imitation weapons, it's sort of hard. I asked the mayor about this last hour. If this was a plot where they believed that a credible plot to murder kids, how do imitation weapons fit into that? But the mayor says that maybe they were going to be replaced by real weapons later on. He doesn't know the details of that. So that's Nova Scotia. Let's talk about the teen who was arrested in Manitoba.
Yeah, and this is a very unusual arrest. The 14-year-old is from Rivers, Manitoba, and that's a community of about 1,000 people. It's about half an hour outside Brandon, Manitoba. And the teen was arrested during a traffic stop while they were on their way to school. And local police were actually alerted by Interpol and FBI about some of these threats last Friday. And so this teen was arrested Monday. And this is what RCMP in Manitoba had to say about why the teen was arrested off a school bus.
It was the safest way for us to take him in custody prior to him attending school. We had received information prior that he was already on the school bus. We wish we could have arrested him at his residence, but that didn't happen. So arresting him on the school bus was the safest and quickest way to put him in custody.
The Manitoba teen is accused of talking online about an attack at Rivers Collegiate, and that's a school of about 141 students ranging from grades 7 to 12. And so this public arrest happened about 2 days ago. So there's been a lot of speculation in the community about what's happening, a lot of rumors, especially in light of that mass shooting in Tumbler Ridge. We spoke to some grade 11 students, and this is what they had to say.
There was a lot of different stories going on over the last couple days, and the principal talked to us the other day, and there was like 8 different rumors going on, so it was hard to believe which one was right until it actually got told what was going on. Definitely worries me now that I know things like that could happen in such a small community.
It's just kind of like a surprise. You know, it's usually everyone here, and it's a pretty close community, I'd say. So like, I feel like it's kind of hard for people to think like that.
So the RCMP in Manitoba arresting the teen there, the municipal police force in Bridgewater doing the same in their community. But as you pointed out, it was U.S. law enforcement where the key information came from.
That's right. So police in Bridgewater and also the RCMP credit the FBI and Interpol of tipping them off and helping them intervene before anything could escalate. And we spoke to one expert in Canada who says it's not surprising that U.S. authorities were on top of it.
It's not surprising that you'd see this kind of assistance coming from, for example, the United States, because they have 10 times as many people doing the work as we do. It's pretty tough, especially in smaller communities, to find a bunch of people who feel the same way you do or think about the same things or having the same kind of thoughts if they're dark. But if you get online, it's pretty easy to find 1,000 other people.
And Ian, he says that about 90% of these types of cases are thwarted before they even make it out into the public domain.
Okay, Mira, thank you very much. Let's get some more analysis on this with Michael Arntfield. He's a criminology prof at Western University in London, Ontario, and a former police detective. And Michael, let's begin with your thoughts about
he touched on
we know,
Lilly&Jack.
which is not a lot, but what we know about this planned attack.
Well, obviously, Ian, the investigation is still in its adolescence. I mean, we know that based on what they're publicly releasing, but I'll echo the opinion of your last expert, which is that I'm not surprised at all that this information came from a external peer agency. I can think of another case about 10 years ago in Ontario where they alerted the RCMP, the FBI, that is, that someone was on their way to commit a suicide bombing after posting a ISIS video to the internet, and he was shot and killed getting into a cab with a nail bomb in a backpack. And Canadian law enforcement was absolutely clueless that this was about to go down. So this is the second instance I can think of just in the last decade where a potential mass casualty event has been thwarted as a result of partner agencies, which raises questions about the intelligence apparatuses in Canada. And that, I think, is a bigger long-term story, quite frankly.
There is, as we've both said, a lot that we don't know about this case, but I want to draw on your experience as both someone who studied criminology and also who's been a police officer. We are about, I think, maybe 40 days past the terrible school shooting in Tumbler Ridge, British Columbia. Do you think there may be a copycat element here?
It's very difficult, and there's a shortage of peer-reviewed public studies, at least, confirming that a contagion effect or a copycat effect. But at least anecdotally and among law enforcement circles, there's certainly the informed speculation that high-profile mass shootings lead to a cluster of similar shootings in similar threat environment. So if it's a school shooting, you'll see another school shooting. If it's a religious-related mass shooting, you'll see, again, a copycat effect. Very difficult to quantify scientifically, but at least we have to consider that some of these people draw inspiration, unfortunately, on previous incidents of a similar nature.
And they also may draw support and inspiration, if that's the word, when they contact like-minded people. And it appears here that you've got a kid in Nova Scotia and a kid in Manitoba who connect via the internet. That may be where and how the U.S. authorities caught wind of this this alleged plot. How concerning is that the internet now, clearly can create refuges for people who want to do things like this?
Well, I'll be clear on this. Obviously, online radicalization of any individual is not a new thing. This is not unique to this case. What is unique is apparently, and again, we don't know all the details, but this synchronized dyadic planned attack. What by dyadic I mean
bars teen accounts from sexually suggestive environments.
2 or more places at the same time. This coordinated type of attack I don't know of in Canada previously. So the fact that in 2 different time zones, 2 different individuals, like-minded individuals, who appear to be adherents to no particular cause. So again, years ago, they talked about salad bar extremists who would just pick and choose their causes. Now there is no cause. These are people apparently intent on mayhem. And when they find each other, this additional development, this additional layer of the dyadic attack as planned is extremely concerning, because now you're dealing with, from a law enforcement perspective, multiple fronts to be dealing with a potential mass casualty event simultaneously.
Yeah. I guess if there's a good thing in all of this, is that because the two are in contact, that contact may have been the very reason why this plot was thwarted before it could actually come into effect. Michael Artfield in London, Ontario, thank you very much.
Thanks, Ian.
So I don't think it was, it's a copycat because, hi, Brian, thanks for being here. Because this plot was in the makings for about a year now. So, um, I don't think they're copycats. However, because of what just happened in Tumbler Ridge, it could have prompted them to act it out quicker than they possibly would have. Just a thought. Um, but yeah. So, while I have YouTube up, we may as well go over to the video I was talking about by KallMeKris, regarding Jack and Lily.
There's a particular kind of quiet that settles over rural Nova Scotia.
So what I'll do is just play a little bit of the first of it so you guys can get an idea. And then you can go to her channel yourself. You'll see the channel name there, KallMeKris. And it's KallMeKris, altogether, KallMeKris. And the disturbing disappearance of Lily and Jack Sullivan. Yeah, obviously their parents aren't monitoring their online time or content, if that would have helped at all. Yeah, well, it definitely would have. And like, I'll be honest with you, when my kids were teens, behind their backs, we checked everything they were doing. Now, if we knew it was like a private conversation that really had nothing, that we had to be concerned about, and once, it's easy to tell that, we just left it. But if we started reading something and we knew, oh, this is not good, then of course we would pay attention to it and do what we had to do to deal with it. It was usually in a roundabout way because, of course, we never wanted to give ourselves the way that we were spying on them. But honestly, parents should do that. They're still kids and they're under your roof and they're under your control. And I mean, there's times, you know, it would be stuff like with the oldest pretty much, that, about parties or whatever. So then we go out for coffee, for a drive, and go around the area where we knew that this party was going on. And yeah, there's a couple of times we pulled them out because we could tell it was too out of hand, or uh we knew the police were heading there, or whatever the case may be. But or my husband would go, if they were tenting in a backyard, he would go out and stand outside the tent and listen to make sure everything was okay. Um, that there was nothing horrific going on that was going to create any trouble. So you really need to keep a close eye on them for sure. I agree. And I want to thank our neighbors, our U.S. neighbors, for catching that and stopping something that would have been quite horrific. Um, I like her commentary. She keeps you entertained. Yeah, that's the first I've ever watched her, and I was surprised because I'm pretty much on top of uh, most creators, and she's got quite a following. So I was like, oh my gosh, how could I not have heard of this channel? So I think the rest of you'll like it as well, and probably want to sub up. So yeah, keep a close eye on your kids, folks. And if there's any kids out there that have these thoughts in your head, tell somebody. Tell somebody that you've got these thoughts going on in your head. There's ways of getting help with those thoughts. And like he said, it's such an easy way for two people who have those ugly thoughts going on in their head to meet up on the internet, compared to back in the day. And of course, when you join forces with one or more people, it gives you that much more uh, willpower to follow through on those thoughts. Um, you watched her video? Yeah. Um, yeah, so we won't play the whole thing because we want to move on to the file. I just want to go through some information here again, and it's only because I'm seeing it brought up it's sometimes you see stuff being discussed, and in my head I'll think, oh no, it's not missing. I remember blah 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 blah, and then you just don't think to, geez, I should be sharing that with people that and point that out and show them that, oh, no, it's not missing. Here it is right here. We're going to find it, guys. We're going to find it. I'll show you. But we'll take a peek at this first. So again, this is KallMeKris. And Ginger, thank you for letting me know about the CBC there with I don't want to try and say his name because I know I'm going to say it wrong, but Hamana Singh. Hamana Singh. I'm probably saying it wrong. Um all right. So we'll get this going. Play a few minutes of it. There's one part I really want you to see because I'm curious as to what you guys think.
There's a particular kind of quiet that settles over rural Nova Scotia, the kind that sounds peaceful until it isn't. In Pictou County holds a community so small, so tucked away from everything, that some neighbors have never once crossed paths. Lansdowne. Now, you probably haven't heard of it, and most people haven't. Thick woods stretch in every direction as far as your eyes can carry you. And the isolation isn't just geographic because it seeps into everything, into the houses and into the people. And a woman named Malaya Brooks Murray called this quiet corner home. And Malaya was raising her 2 kids there, a little girl obsessed with anything pink, and a 4-year-old boy who spent his days on his hands and knees hunting for bugs under rocks. And then, one morning, they were just gone. This is the story of Lilly&Jack Sullivan. Crime, conspiracy, cults, serial killers, and murder. All things that I love to consume, and I know you do too, you sick, twisted, beautiful, intellectually minded freak. And today we are doing a little mini episode, a little bonus episode, if you will. But it is about an extremely puzzling and disturbing case. So without further ado, let's unbuckle our seatbelts, go Mach 5 down the highway, slam on the brakes, and bust through the windshield into this puzzling case together. All right, so with spring coming up, I've been outside way more, on walks, doing errands, just getting some fresh air because it feels good. And I've been wearing my Raycon Essential Open Earbuds basically every single day. These are my favorite earbuds because I don't actually like having things inside my ear as much as I do these open earbuds. I didn't even know what I was missing until I tried these things on. Because what makes these different from regular earbuds is the open ear, which I love. And Raycon your routine this spring. So go to buyraycon.com, member of the Sipek-Nikatik First Nations group, one of the largest Indigenous communities in all of Nova Scotia. And people who knew Malaya described her as quiet and shy, the kind of woman who wasn't going to argue with you even if she probably should have. Just non-confrontational to her core. And the children's biological father was Cody Sullivan. And Cody was 29 in 2025.
Okay.
And Cody
Is that
and Malaya
Cody?
had been together roughly 3 years before having 2 kids together.
Is that Cody? Because I saw one picture of Cody, and I didn't think that that was Cody. I wonder if Belinda saw this video or Chelsea. Brandy, hi. Yeah, Brian, is it him though, Brandy? Like, do you know what Cody looks like? Is that him? Brian says it's not. I didn't think from the picture that I saw, but I mean, people grow up and change their look. Or grow, I should say, and change their looks. Oh, you seen it too, did you, Brandy? I hope you guys don't mind me playing it again because some people didn't see it. She portrays it to be, You saw it too, Stella? Yeah, I watched it last night. If you guys don't want to watch it, let me know. If you do, let me know. Because I know some of you did see it, but some of you didn't. But if some of you want to go and watch it later on, and we can move on to the file stuff. But it's up to you guys. You'll watch it again. We're not going to watch the whole thing. We'll play a little bit of it just for those who didn't see it yet, just to give them a little intro. Unless you want to watch the whole thing. It's 30 minutes long. Okay. Well, let's hit play then.
And from the outside, it looked like a normal family with nothing alarming about it. But Malaya wasn't happy, and eventually she made the call that she wanted out. So she pursued full custody of the children, and Cody walked away without a fight. And not just from Malaya, but from it all, from the children and from any role in their lives. So by May of 2025, Lily and Jack hadn't seen their father in 3 years. And Cody had been paying child support for a while, but in 2024, he lost his job and the payments stopped. And by 2025, Cody was back living with his mother, Belinda Gray, out on the Eastern Shore with no job, no vehicle, and no real contact with his children. Now, Belinda described a distance between herself and Cody, saying he'd always been closer to his father. And then there's Daniel Martel. And Malaya eventually wanted to get back out there and find someone, so she met Daniel on Facebook Dating in the spring of 2022. And Daniel was 34 and moved fast. And by fast, I mean within 2 weeks of meeting her, he moved in with Malaya. But Daniel had a history with meth and cocaine and was trying to start over and build something new. And according to Malaya, she didn't find out about any of the drug history until a year into their relationship. So by 2025, Daniel was attending Narcotics Anonymous classes somewhere around 3 times a week, though the exact frequency depends on who you ask because sources aren't totally consistent on that. But the point is, Daniel was trying. Daniel worked hard too at a local sawmill doing hardwood operations until the work dried up. Because the spring thaw brings a seasonal ban on heavy trucks in the area, and just like that, the mill couldn't operate at full capacity. So Daniel went from full shifts to maybe 1 shift a week if he was lucky. And court documents that came out later painted a picture of a household under serious financial strain, with arguments between Malaya and Daniel about money and everything that came with it. So here's what you had. A quiet, non-confrontational mother trying to find a new love after a relationship that had fizzled out, a man with a complicated past doing his best to step up for this ready-made family, and both of them were struggling, but functioning together, for a while anyway. So in August of 2023, Malaya would make a decision that, in hindsight, becomes one of the more troubling threads in this entire story. Now, Malaya would pack up Lily and Jack and move out to Daniel Martel's family property in Lansdowne, rural Pictou County, about 65 kilometers from Truro, where Malaya had grown up, where her mother was, and where her friends were, and just generally where her entire support system lived. Just gone, all of it. And Daniel's mother, Jenny Mackenzie, already lived on the property in a trailer, and Malaya and Daniel moved into a separate mobile home nearby with the kids and their new baby daughter. And then, according to a close family friend, something shifted, and Malaya started pulling back from everyone. And it wasn't just because of the distance either. Something in Malaya's mood had changed, and she wasn't doing well in the months before everything fell apart. And Belinda Gray noticed it too. And Belinda had been staying in contact with her grandchildren despite Cody's complete absence, coming by every so often to see Lily and Jack. But after the move to Lansdowne, those visits stopped and contact went quiet. And the money problems weren't going anywhere. And by early 2025, there were 5 people in that mobile home: Malaya, Daniel, Lily, Jack, and their baby sister, Meadow, who was only 16 months old. Now, Lily Sullivan was 6 years old, born in March of 2019. And she had light brown hair, bangs, and an absolute devotion to the color pink. Pink boots, pink blankets, pink everything. And Lily would spend hours in the fenced backyard of their mobile home talking to her dolls and stuffed animals like they had opinions worth hearing. And she followed her little brother's lead too. Jack Sullivan was 4, born October 29th, 2020, with short blonde hair and the kind of bug obsession that only 4-year-old boys seem to fully commit to. And Jack would flip rocks and poke at logs and investigate every inch of the ground like he was on some kind of scientific contract. And Jack wore his blue dinosaur boots almost constantly and was still going through potty training at this time. But these two were inseparable, brother and sister and best friends all at once. Happy kids who loved playing and loved people, even if people were hard to come by way out in those woods. But they weren't completely stuck at home though. Both attended Salt Spring Elementary in Salt Spring, Nova Scotia, about a 20-minute bus ride from home. And Jack was in pre-primary and Lily was in primary, roughly the American equivalent of preschool and kindergarten. Now, the children did have some developmental concerns. Malaya described them as possibly autistic, not formally diagnosed, but behind in certain ways. Malaya said it wasn't extreme, just present. And the children were meant to get a proper evaluation at some point. And staff at the school had noticed things as well, and it went beyond academics. And the children's home environment raised concerns, as on one occasion, Lily arrived at school without proper winter clothing, visibly unkempt, and staff had to provide clothing for her. And that concern eventually prompted a child protection social worker to visit the home, but no physical injuries were observed, so nothing came of the visit. But then in December of 2024, Salt Springs Elementary posted a photo from a class trip on Facebook. And in it, Jack is sitting among his classmates in the forest with a visible green and purple bruise below his left eye. And there ended up being other photos that showed more bruises on the children in later reports. And in private Facebook messages, Martel, the children's stepfather, acknowledged the bruising and blamed it on Lily, saying Lily had punched Jack in the face. And Martel would also say that Lily had a black eye because Lily pushed down on a toy truck and it swung up and hit her in the face. So keep that in mind. But life inside that mobile home wasn't simple. A large wood stove took up a good chunk of the living room, and outside was a fenced yard with a chicken coop and a steep embankment the kids would sometimes play near. And they'd actually built a little fort out there, and the entire property was wrapped in dense, heavy woodland. And in 2022, Hurricane Fiona had knocked trees down in every direction and layered the forest floor with fallen timber, making it tangled, unpredictable terrain that was hard to walk through and easy to get lost in. And Belinda Gray, the paternal grandmother, hadn't visited since before the family moved. So Tuesday, April 29th, 2025 was like any other day. But it was actually a free day for the kids because the next day was a professional development day for teachers, so there was no school on Wednesday. And the family spent that day running errands together. They did laundry at a relative's house, went grocery shopping, and got home at around 10:19 that night. And Thursday, May 1st, the children stayed home because Martel and Lily had a cough. And since Lily wasn't going in, they kept Jack home too. So that afternoon, the whole family went out, and at 2:25 p.m., all of them were captured on surveillance footage at a Dollarama in New Glasgow, roughly 30 kilometers from their home. And that would be the last confirmed public sighting of Lily and Jack Sullivan. But May 1st was unremarkable by all accounts. Martel said he spent the evening working on the fence in the backyard while the kids got ready for bed and couldn't.
So, yes, I agree. I've always said that. That's there's certain things that always stuck out to me, and that is one of them. And because Daniel is so preemptive too in the things that he states, and that always bothered me because I thought, well, for one, Malaya denies it, and it sounds like Cindy saw them on camera on Thursday, on a video chat. Um, that's the way that you read it, it sounds like she did because that was the intention of the call. And then she says nothing stood out to her. So she didn't say, I didn't see the kids. Malaya wouldn't put them on the phone, or, that would stand out to you, right? That she didn't see them. Um, so I take it as that she saw them and nothing stood out. So that always bothered me. That and the addition of, you know, he flicked the light on at 12 midnight and just certain things, right? That to me, I just found worrisome. Um, yeah, Rena, right? I was in the chat and saw it with my own eyes. He then blamed her, yeah, by saying she gave herself a black eye. I called him a coward. Yeah, I remember that too, Brandy. Yeah. I started a couple of other comments there. When when Janie refused to let RCMP search the trailer, I always thought it was the RV. It was the RV. She also said that they didn't go to school because Lily and Martel had a cough. Well, I've never heard of that. We know Lily did, not Martel. Um, And I was gonna go back and listen to Jack's birthday because I thought she might have said the wrong date there for his birthday, but I didn't wanna interrupt. I just let it go, but if she didn't say October 29th, she's wrong. Um, what other start? I might have had some other start comments there that you guys said would miss. Uh, um, yeah, yeah, lot of reviews. I still think, and welcome too, by the way, Rena. Saw you say a lot of people are not getting notifications. It's annoying. I still think he was getting her book bag at midnight and was scared someone seen it on. So yeah, to me there was something else going on there, and he felt he had to come up with that in case someone saw him turn on that light, right? Um, Okay, I will leave it up to you guys. Do you want me to keep going with this video or do you want to move on to oh, my mind's gone blank. Sorry, as usual. The file, the missing, in quotes, the missing file. Press 1 if you guys want to continue on watching the rest of this. Press 2 if you want to move on. Keep going, okay? Brian's a 2. I knew you were going to press 2, Brian. I just knew it. I knew it. I knew it. You might be outvoted, Brian. Anybody else? What are your thoughts? 1 or 2, guys. All right. Well, we'll keep going. Then.
Recall
We got
exactly
2 ones.
when they went down. And Malaya said she put Lily and Jack to sleep somewhere between 9 and 10 that night, though police noted her timeline was inconsistent throughout.
It's a good refresh.
And before going to bed, Martel leaned a wrench against the front door as a makeshift alarm system. The idea was that if anyone opened the door, the wrench would fall, clatter, and wake someone up. And Martel had done this many times before, and it had never actually gone off. So somewhere between 6 and 6:15 in the morning, Malaya used the school's mobile app to mark both children absent. And
See, some of the stuff is not as we know it, because we know that had to do with a bear. Right? That was about the bear. Come on now.
reason as Thursday, Lily's cough, and since Lily wasn't going, Jack wasn't going either. And it was a second consecutive day home for both of them. Between roughly 8 and 9:40 in the morning, Malaya and Daniel were still in the bedroom with Meadow, their baby. And Malaya said she could hear Lily and Jack playing in the next room before she went back to rest. And Martel said Lily came in and out of the parents' bedroom a few times that morning, while Jack could be heard in the kitchen and apparently opening the patio door to go play in the backyard. Now, Janie McKenzie, Daniel's mother, was in her camper in the driveway about 30 meters away and later told police she could hear the children playing on the swings at around 8:50 in the morning. And that was the last time anyone claims to have heard them. So at some point, and no one can pin down exactly when, the adults noticed the trailer had gone quiet. So they checked the kids' bedrooms and found it empty, and checked the rest of the trailer, but found nothing. And then went outside and called for the children, but nothing was called back. And the wrench was still leaning against the front door, exactly where Martel had left it, undisturbed, which meant the children had gone out through the sliding glass door at the back. Both pairs of boots were missing, Jack's blue dinosaur boots and Lily's pink rubber boots. So at 10:01 a.m., Malaya called 911 and reported that her children had gone missing. And right away, Malaya told the dispatcher that the children were possibly autistic and known to roam. And 26 minutes later, at 10:27 a.m., RCMP officers arrived at 1407 Garlock Road. And the response was enormous by any measure. Ground search and rescue teams flooded in from across the province. And the Civil Air Search and Rescue Association deployed aircraft, the Department of Natural Resources contributed air support, and multiple RCMP units arrived with police dogs and remotely piloted drones. And over 160 people were on the ground by May 4th, and they weren't slowing down. And Martel told police that when he realized the children were gone, he jumped in his car and driven around looking. And when that turned up nothing, Martel got on foot and searched the woods for hours. And when investigators asked for a timeline, Martel said he hadn't tracked it and hadn't brought his phone either. So there was no way to map where he had actually been. And around 4 o'clock that afternoon, 3 family members emerged from the woods carrying a piece of blanket. Pink, which means it was Lily's. And it was torn and hanging in a tree roughly 1 kilometer from the mobile home, and search teams redirected their efforts toward that area. And a police dog was dispatched to catch Lily's scent from the blanket, but found nothing. No trail and no trace, which was troubling on its own because if the children had carried that blanket into the woods, there should have been something for the dogs to follow. But then Malaya told police something that changed the shape of things entirely. The blanket wasn't from inside the house. Malaya had thrown it in the garbage about a week before the children had disappeared, and it had been Lily's favorite for a long time, something Lily dragged everywhere. But Lilly had grown out of it, and Martel had repurposed it briefly to block a draft coming in under the door before they tossed it out. So investigators looked at the trash bag still sitting at the end of the driveway and found the blanket inside, completely ripped apart with a missing piece. And Malaya explained that the piece was already missing when she threw it away because Daniel had torn the section off when he used it to block the door. So, a discarded blanket, already ripped, somehow turned up in a tree a kilometer from the house, and the dogs couldn't pull a scent from it. And nobody had a clean explanation for how it got there. I mean, could have been maybe an animal took it, like a squirrel took it and brought it up a tree. I don't know. So on the night of May 2nd, around 11:30 p.m., a drone equipped with infrared sensors picked up 2 heat signatures in the woods. So RCMP officers were sent in on foot and found nothing. And investigators later concluded the heat source was likely a bear in the area. But the search didn't stop and days bled into each other. And by May 7th, 6 days in, Staff Sergeant Curtis McKinnon stood in front of the cameras with pictures of the children behind him and said, carefully, that search efforts were being scaled back because the realistic probability of 2 young children surviving alone in the wilderness for nearly a week was low. So on May 8th and 9th, the RCMP underwater recovery team searched bodies of water nearby, 3 ponds and Lansdowne Lake, but found nothing. And when it was all said and done, the search had logged over 12,000 hours with more than 1,700 crew members and volunteers, and the search area had more than doubled to 8.5 square kilometers. Helicopters, drones with thermal cameras, dogs, and divers had all been deployed, and still all investigators were left with was one child-sized footprint near the property and a piece of ripped pink blanket. The RCMP's crime unit, which had been involved since May 3rd, recognized this shift. This was no longer a search and rescue operation. It was an investigation. And the suspicion didn't wait for the search to wind down. It started almost immediately. And at 12:45 in the morning of May 3rd, just hours after the children were reported missing, Malaya called police with a theory. And Malaya thought the children's biological father, Cody Sullivan, might have taken them, and that maybe Cody had driven up, picked up the kids, and taken them to New Brunswick, where Malaya believed Cody might be living. So police were at Cody's door at nearly 3 a.m., and Cody was confused and disoriented, being at that time of the morning, just shaken by having officers show up at that hour, and told them he hadn't seen the children in over 3 years, because remember, he was a very absent father. So they took down some information and they would leave. And that same afternoon, things got loud, and Daniel Martel's drug history had apparently made its way to Malaya's family, and her sister was furious. And a confrontation broke out on the property, and Janie McKenzie eventually ordered the family to leave. Witnesses were there, and it got ugly. And at the Search and Rescue Command Center later that day, Malaya reviewed the maps of the search area, and the weight of everything hit her at once. And Malaya handed Meadow to a family member, went outside, and had a panic attack while medical staff attended to her. And when it was over, something had changed. Malaya packed up, left Lansdowne without Martel, and blocked Martel on social media, and didn't look back. And May 7th brought another.
Yeah, she's inferring that it's Cody because she's putting that picture up when she mentions Cody, but I've seen one picture of Cody and I didn't think that that was him, but like I said, people change their looks. Maybe it is. Only Belinda and Chelsea would know. He looks way too old to be Cody, in my opinion. I don't know what he looks like, but well, I saw a picture of him and I don't remember him looking like that, but I don't know. But maybe she just didn't have a picture of him, so she just used one. I don't know. I don't know. Um, yeah, there's some other comments here I stirred we may as well take a look at while we're stopped here. I find it odd Daniel disclosed that. Oh yeah, we did that one. I find it odd that Janie says M&D were outside yelling for the children for 10 minutes before she got up and told them she heard them outside. Yes, I do too. Yeah, that's another thing that has stood out to me as well. Many people, just doesn't make sense. Yeah. Yep. And then even when she did get up and come out, it doesn't, from what everything we've heard, it doesn't seem that she even then said, I heard them out here not too long ago. I wonder if the cops have the famous wrench or seen it on the floor. And you saying the famous wrench just makes me think of that moron saying the famous toolbox. Um, yeah. Well, hopefully nobody's gonna try to auction that off or, joke about it. It's terrible. Yeah, so who was that man? Well, apparently, supposed to be Cody. We'll have to ask Belinda. Belinda or Chelsea. Um, she's not being literal about the squirrel taking the blanket. No, no, no. I think she's actually probably poking a little bit at the fact that some people, we know who those peoples are, who the peeps are, had said that a bear took it or a bird took it. Well, she went with squirrel, but I think she's just, kind of poking a little bit at those who said such ridiculous things. Yeah. Yeah, Brian doesn't think it's him either. Yeah. Yeah, what's up? What's going on? Like you would know something bad's going on here, right? I mean, your first guess would be is that the kids can't be found. But that's why I had always said as well, like, well, oh, remember though, she thought that it might have been that Jack was getting in the chicken coop. Well, there's different types of sounds, that parents have. And that panic is different than a parent wanting a child to get away from something. Um, but in that household, probably not, right? It was probably always just, yeah, an angry voice. Me, guys, sorry. She has had over 1,700 comments and 22K thumbs up. Wow. Yeah, and that video's only been out for a few days. I think 4 or 5. Yeah. Yipper.
Development when a tip came in suggesting Cody Sullivan had been spotted at a hotel in New Brunswick. The police contacted Cody, and Cody said he hadn't left Nova Scotia, and they verified it, and Cody was effectively removed as a person of interest. So, who did that leave? Malaya went almost completely silent after this, and she gave one brief media interview during the initial search and then nothing. Police had advised her not to speak publicly because they were building a case, and in October of 2025, Malaya released a written statement through the volunteer group, Please Bring Me Home, saying, quote, I will never stop searching for my children until they are found and brought home safe and sound. Someone, somewhere, knows something, so please bring my babies home, unquote. And then, nothing again. And Daniel Martel did the exact opposite. Martel was everywhere, going from CBC to CTV to Global News to YouTube interviews, telling his story and correcting the narrative and pushing back. And at one point, Martel described himself as the figurehead of the Lilly&Jack investigation. And in one interview, Martel actually spoke about himself in the third person, saying, quote, he has nothing to do with the disappearance. But in the public, as long as he looks evil, the public will judge him as being guilty. Unquote. And people thought he was guilty because other photos surfaced after the kid's disappearance. and they showed more bruises on the children. And media outlets pressed Martel on this, and he didn't comment publicly. But he would comment in those Facebook messages, like I mentioned before, and he would acknowledge the bruising, saying that Lily did it to herself, and so did Jack. But people weren't buying it. And Belinda Gray, the paternal grandmother, hadn't visited since before the family had moved. And when police showed Belinda photos of the children after they disappeared, photos taken in the months prior, Belinda was visibly shaken because they looked thin and malnourished with cracked lips. And Belinda said she believed the parents had failed these children, and she included herself in that failure. And when police later interviewed Brooks Murray, she was asked if Daniel Martel was ever physically active towards her during their relationship. And according to documentation filed for a search warrant application, her answer was yes. She stated he would block her and hold her down when she would try to leave, even pushing her. And one time, when she wanted to call her mother, Daniel took the phone away from her, sometimes leading to something physical. And Martel denied all allegations against him, and he would yell in response. No physical violence ever transpired in the duration of their relationship. So they had their ups and downs, but he said things never got physical. And in all interviews with news sources, he continually denied the allegations, stating they were trying to design a narrative where he was the perpetrator. And although never brought to court, a pattern of isolation from the family, a control of behavior from contacting them through the phone, and supposed physical confrontations, investigators were cautious with his narrative, unsure of what truly occurred in their home months before the disappearance of their children. But the contrast between the way Malaya was acting and the way Daniel Martel was acting was very stark, and the internet naturally noticed. And people couldn't reconcile Malaya's silence with Martel's apparent need to be on every camera every other week. And both behaviors were scrutinized, with neither explanation feeling satisfying. And the true crime community went into overdrive, with Facebook groups, YouTube channels, and Reddit threads all analyzing and theorizing and speculating constantly. And a channel called It's a Crying Shame, run by a woman named Sunny Austin, was doing live streams on the case regularly and sometimes drawing thousands of viewers. And family members of the children would occasionally show up in the chat, including Belinda Gray and, of course, because he needs to be in the center of everything, Daniel Martel. And one of those viewers was a man named Darren Geddes, a distant relative of Brooks Murray's and a first cousin of her grandmother, Patty Pearson. Now, Geddes appeared in one of Sunny's videos and put forward a theory that Malaya had put the children in a vehicle and sent them away before calling them in as missing, covering himself with a half-hearted "could be wrong" while the implication was clear. And police took it seriously enough to interview Geddes on May 30th. And according to documents, he was confrontational and evasive and more interested in getting information from investigators than actually giving any to them. And he became upset when police wouldn't answer his questions. And a month later, Malaya gave police a recording of a phone call between Geddes and her mother, Patty Pearson, recorded on the evening of June 21st. And whether Geddes knew he was being recorded was unclear. But meanwhile, the harassment toward Martel online was relentless, with people calling him a child killer and asking him where he had hid the bodies, each message just getting darker and darker than the last. And on June 2nd, a candlelight vigil was held outside the RCMP detachment in Stellarton, and about 50 people gathered and placed stuffed animals, candles, and angels, and the memorial continued to grow. Martel attended alongside Belinda Gray. 2 paper lanterns were lit and released into the sky, one for each child. And afterward, Martel stood up and asked the public to stop targeting Malaya because her mental health, he would say, would affect Meadow. So as the search scaled back, the investigative machinery kicked into full gear, and nearly a dozen RCMP officers from across the country were assigned to the case. And on May 12th, both Malaya and Daniel took polygraph tests at the Bible Hill RCMP detachment, and both passed. And by June 2025, investigators had spoken to roughly 54 people with connections to the case, and some of those people were polygraphed as well. And Martel told CBC around this time that every question he was asked in those interrogation rooms assumed the children were dead and that Martel was the one responsible. And not one question framed the possibility that someone had just taken them, just quote unquote "Did you kill Lily and Jack?" unquote. So for someone claiming innocence, Martel said, "That was a terrifying room to sit in." On June 10th, Janie McKenzie underwent a polygraph, but the results were not used because her, quote, "physiology was not suitable for analysis," unquote, according to documents. On June 12th, Cody Sullivan took a polygraph and passed. On July 2nd, Cindy Murray, the maternal grandmother, and her boyfriend, Wade Paris, both took polygraphs and both passed. This is kind of irrelevant because you can't use a polygraph in court, so it's just, I don't even know why it's used anymore. But at this stage, police stated they did not believe the children's disappearance was criminal in nature, with no grounds to suspect someone had done this deliberately. But investigators needed something. So on June 19th, the Nova Scotia government announced a reward of up to $150,000 for information related to the missing children, with the value scaling depending on the quality of the lead. So by August 2025, investigators had accumulated over 8,000 video files from trail cameras, dash cams, and security systems. Every frame of footage they could find in the area was being reviewed. And investigators had also executed approximately 12 search warrants between May 16th and July 16th, covering properties, phone records, banking records, and surveillance footage. And then in September of 2025, more than 4 months after the children vanished, the RCMP deployed cadaver dogs. And these aren't ordinary search dogs because they train specifically to locate human remains. And there are only about 6 to 8 of them in the entire RCMP across all of Canada. So 2 handlers arrived, one from Alberta and one from British Columbia, and covered 40 kilometers of terrain over 3 days, starting from the property and working outward and hitting areas like where the pink blanket was found. But they would find nothing. And in November 2025, about 30 volunteers conducted a new search near the middle river of Pictou, and one of them found a blanket in the woods with what appeared to be bones wrapped inside. The bones were sent to an anthropologist who reviewed the photographs and determined they were animal bones. And on one occasion during these searches, a group was approached by a local property owner and told to leave because he had dangerous animals on his land. And those dangerous animals turned out to be 2 rams. So by January 2026, investigators had conducted 75 interviews, processed over 1,066 tips, examined 8,100 video files, and deployed units from across multiple provinces. And RCMP Staff Sergeant Rob McCammon said plainly that no suspects have been identified. And the case remained classified under the Missing Persons Act, which allowed investigators to continue accessing telecommunication records and anything else they deemed relevant, even without a formal criminal designation. And that could change, McCammon said, if new evidence surfaced. So they're waiting. But since there are no official suspects, not one, the public filled the vacuum with its own theories. And the first is an abduction theory. So from almost the beginning, Martel was pushing investigators to monitor provincial borders and airports because Martel believed the children were taken, and Malaya's inner circle shared that view. But police kept saying there was no evidence of abduction, so no Amber Alert was warranted. That is, until May 31st, when a woman named Natasha Haywood came forward and told police she'd been driving with her sons on the morning of May 2nd and spotted 2 children walking on the side of the road. A young girl was holding a younger boy's hand, and the boy had blonde hair and was wearing shorts, and the girl had dark hair in pigtails with a tank top with a blue string. And they were walking toward an older white woman, approximately 50 to 60 years old, who was standing by the passenger side of an older tan or gold-colored sedan with the back door open. The location was Garlock Road and Lansdowne Station Road, close to the home. The descriptions didn't perfectly match, though, as Haywood estimated a 9 or 10-year-old girl and a 5-year-old boy, whereas Lily was 6 and Jack was 4, and the car was never identified. And police looked into it, but nothing came of it. But the account fueled the abduction theory in a significant way. And the next would be that they just wandered into the woods. And this was the working theory from day one, and the reason for the massive immediate search response. Malaya had told the 911 dispatcher herself that the kids were possibly autistic and known to roam, so the assumption was that Lily and Jack slipped out through the patio door early in the morning and wandered into the dense forest and just got lost. And it was plausible at first, but less so as time went on. And Nick Oldreeve, founder of Please Bring Me Home, led a search in November of 2025, and after walking the area himself and seeing how thoroughly investigators had already covered it, Oldreeve was skeptical. And the dogs couldn't get a scent from the blanket, and the cadaver dogs found nothing. And helicopters and thermal drones found nothing. And over 160 volunteers on the ground found nothing. For two small children to completely vanish in a defined search area and leave no trace, that needed a real explanation, and the Woods theory was struggling to provide one. And the next theory would be foul play. And this was the one the true crime community latched onto hardest. And honestly, the circumstances gave people plenty to work with, because allegations of domestic abuse, financial desperation, isolation from family, children arriving at school with bruises and black eyes, a child protection visit that found nothing, and then two kids who vanished without leaving a trace that hundreds of trained searchers could locate. And one early red flag involved Malaya deleting the Text Plus app from her phone. Now, Text Plus was an internet-based calling app Malaya used frequently because traditional phone service was spotty out in Lansdowne, and deleting it wiped the records and potentially compromised a portion of the investigation. And when asked why Malaya deleted it, she said she simply didn't need it anymore. And then there were the neighbors. Brad Wong and Justin Smith both told police they heard a vehicle coming and going from the property in the early hours of May 2nd. And Wong said he could see vehicle lights over the tree line from his elevated property, and that a loud vehicle had departed the driveway multiple times after midnight, stopping and returning and going again across 3 to 4 trips, before driving off in the early morning hours. And Smith independently said he heard a vehicle at around 1:30 a.m. near Highway 289 by the railroad tracks near Gale Rock Road and Lansdowne Station Road, which is close to where the pink blanket was later found and near the child-sized boot print. And Smith said he'd spoken with Wong about it, and Wong believed the vehicle belonged to Martel. Now, Martel denied all of it and said his vehicle never left the yard that night, and that if anything moved, it was Malaya's vehicle. Now, the RCMP reviewed surveillance footage from Gairloch Road area and found no evidence of vehicle activity during that window. And next was just the mystery of the blanket. Is possibly the strangest and most unresolved piece of the whole case was this blanket. The blanket was found hanging in a tree a kilometer from the house, but Malaya had told police it had been in the garbage for a week, and Daniel had used it to block a draft. Then they tossed it, and the trash bag was still at the end of the driveway with the blanket inside it, completely ripped apart with a missing piece. So how did that missing piece end up a kilometer away in a tree? Did Lily pull it from the trash before the garbage day? Was it placed there deliberately? And why couldn't the dogs pick up any scent from it? This was Lily's once favorite blanket, so her scent was definitely on it. It was something she carried literally everywhere, and there was nothing for the animals to follow. And forensic testing of the blanket was never made public. And Martel provided a blood sample to investigators for comparison with what they found on it, but the results were never released. No answers, just more questions. So 8 months after these children have vanished, on January 26, 2026, Daniel Martel was arrested. It was 11:30 in the morning when Pictou County District RCMP took Martel into custody, and the charges were assault and forcible confinement involving an adult victim. And the alleged offenses covered a time frame between September 1st, 2024 and March 30th, 2025, which are the months directly leading up to the children's disappearance. And RCMP confirmed the charges but didn't name the adult victim, so whether it was Malaya Brooks Murray was never officially stated. And the charges were separately classified from the missing children investigation, but nobody watching closely needed to be told what that timing suggested. So Martel was released on conditions and scheduled to appear in provincial court on March 2nd, 2026. And Martel didn't make any public statement about the arrest, but this was a man who had spent months going from news outlet to news outlet declaring his innocence and positioning himself as the public face of the search for Lily and Jack. And now, Martel was facing charges like these. And the people who had already been suspicious of Martel had a lot more to be suspicious about. But as of February 2026, as I'm recording this, I know it's most likely March now, but as of February, Lilly and Jack Sullivan are still missing. No bodies, no confirmed sightings since May 1st, 2025, when the children were captured on that Dollarama footage in New Glasgow. And there are no new leads the public, at least, has been told about. So the case remains under the Missing Persons Act and is not officially a criminal investigation. But RCMP Staff Sergeant Rob McCammon has said that could change the moment any new evidence warrants it. And the Nova Scotia government's reward of up to $150,000 is still on the table. McCammon has said publicly that he doesn't believe this will become a cold case. That hope is admirable, and whether it holds up is another question entirely. And Malaya released her last public statement in October of 2025, saying, quote, "I will never stop searching for my children until they are found and brought home safe and sound," unquote. But 9 months, over 70 interviews, more than 1,000 tips, 8,000 video files, and 40 kilometers of terrain covered by cadaver dogs, ponds and wells and lakes and septic systems all searched, along with helicopters, thermal drones, and divers. And still, investigators were left with a child-sized boot print and a torn pink blanket. There are just no clean answers, and the case is still open, and the reward is still unclaimed. And 2 children, 2 innocent children, are still missing. Somewhere out there, maybe someone knows something they haven't said yet, and maybe they'll say it. And that is the reason I am making this video. If you know any information, please contact the local authorities in Nova Scotia. But that is the case of Lilly and Jack Sullivan. So if you know any information, please contact the RCMP or local authorities in Nova Scotia. I'm praying that these children get found.
Oops, I didn't mean to come right out of that. Sorry, guys. That is the end of it, though. So again, that is called Call Me Chris. Sub up. Ginger put the link in the chat there. And yeah, Call Me Chris. And I think she did do a pretty good job. No, it's not the same as the 911 call. So dispatch would be what many of us had played. Actually, I don't think I played it because there were so many other channels playing it that I touched on other stuff while they were playing it. But oh, what's that channel called? Ariel, hi, thanks for being here. And everyone else that came in there while that was playing. Mel, Ariel, yeah, so dispatch is, it's the calls you can hear over the radios where they're saying, um, talking about, the information that the mother said, 2 kids, their ages, color of the boots. And you hear the guy say he has to go back to the house and get more information, those things. And they're talking about certain roads and stuff like that. You can hear them talking about some of the articles of certain things that they found. Yeah, that's the radio. Ginger, what is the name of that channel? Her name's Paula, but I can't remember the name of her channel. Plunder. She had them all on her channel. And if you ever want to hear them, you can go over to her channel. She has them all. Yeah, Daphne's played them. Yep, Daphne's. I don't know if Justin did. I can't remember hearing them. Yeah, Plunder, Mel. Yep. Yeah, so that's called Call Me Chris. That video has, I think, almost 500,000 views, guys. So that's awesome. I think she has, I feel like it was 14 million subscribers. It's in the millions. Um, yeah. I started some comments here, so we'll go over those and then we'll move on to the file, the quote missing file. Um, yeah, so when she was saying Rob McCannon, Sergeant McCannon, or whatever she said there, McCammon, that wasn't him either, and she showed that picture. So I'm kind of thinking that's probably not Cody. Um, yeah, so I think she did a good job too. I was thinking the same thing. Like there's a few things that she was, a little off on, but for all the info that's put out there, um, to have to go through all of that, not having followed it from the beginning up to now, like we have, that'd be pretty tough. So I could see how she'd get a few things off. So, but job well done, for sure. Yeah, Mel, there's something very odd about this case. 100%. There is definitely something odd. People don't simply disintegrate. Something happened to them. Yep. Yep. It'll be interesting to see what takes place with Please Bring Me Home. And by the way, I will put Please Bring Me Home up there so you guys can see that as a reminder. So to participate, the top part of that cut off, sorry. If you're on the phone like Mel, you can probably see the whole thing there. If you're in the chat, the other chat, you can see the whole thing, but the most important information is on here. Search at pleasebringmehome.com, your full name, your phone number, emergency contact info if you're interested, if you're able, mentally and physically, really. Then join the search. And, or if you know anyone, let people know. Um, and it'll be interesting to see what takes place during this search. Now, again, Nick stated they're going to focus on all the little pathways. Um, last time they focused on the waterways. Um, yeah. So, all right. I think I got all the comments there that I had stirred. Thank you, Ginger, for putting plunder up. Yep. The dispatch audios are there. Thank you. Thank you so much. All right, let us move on to the blanket. And I'm going to bring an article up that I've had up here probably 2 or 3 times already. But sometimes when you're going over these articles and there's so much information in them, and you get focused on picking certain things out of it, that you kind of overlook something else that's in there. Um, but it stuck out in my mind, and that, was probably because I'm a nurse and I imagine the protocol's similar in certain circumstances, that a file has to be retrieved and looked at during certain circumstances. And although it's not in its designated area where it would typically be, it's missing from that area. It's not literally missing, excuse me, from the planet. So, oh, I gotta share that first. Sorry, guys. So this again is the article from Globe and Mail by Lindsay Jones. Missing Nova Scotia children were assessed by Child Welfare Agency months before disappearance. Now I had went over this again not too long ago because some people were still asking you know, who was that confirmed by? Well, it's, you know, it was actually confirmed by uh, Scott Armstrong, who oversees child and welfare of Nova Scotia. So, and he confirms something else here as well. And so I have to go over to the other screen so to read this. And so I'm going to read it. I can play the audio, but I think I'll read it today. And oh, thanks, Ginger, for putting the please bring me home up. I'll put that up there while I'm reading this. Yeah, so I'll read it out today. So this is from 6 months ago, and there's the two sweethearts there, Lily and Jack Sullivan. So Jack turned 5 in October. Lily will be turning 7 March 22nd of this month. Nova Scotia's Child Protection Agency investigated the living conditions of Jack and Lily Sullivan months before their mysterious disappearance from a rural part of the province in early May, a case file that has been reviewed by the minister responsible for child welfare. So, you see what that says there? A case file that has been reviewed by the minister responsible for child welfare. So where do you think the file is, guys? I mean, it might be back where it's supposed to be now, which I doubt. I doubt it's right back to its designated area. Uh, you know, um, but we certainly know where it has been and probably still could be. So did you all get that? There's where the missing file is. Was, possibly still is. A case file that has been reviewed by the minister responsible for child welfare. So I'll continue on. So if it was missing, he certainly wouldn't be able to review it. But if he has it, and somebody else in the office who is, just a staff, just like I would be a nurse and where I worked and looked on a shelf and saw, oh, John Jacobs' chart's not there. And then said to somebody else, John Jacobs' chart's missing. Um, and then it turns into what, everybody's saying now, that file's missing and people think it's suspicious and bit of a conspiracy going on. No, no. Yes, Ginger. Yeah. Yep. I'm sure it possibly, once it went to the minister and he reviewed it, it, I mean, I can't say none of us can say for 100% sure, but in my opinion, yes, quite possibly then went to the RCMP. But back months ago, and it was Wade, months ago on those tapes with Tint, who said that it was missing. It's not missing. It might not be where it was. And honestly, confidentiality wise, nobody should be looking for that file in the office. If it has nothing to do with them, there'd be no reason to look for that file. You're not supposed to be looking into that stuff unless it directly involves somebody that you're involved with. You're as a nurse caring for, or as the CPS worker, a child you're involved with, right? It's part of your caseload. So we'll continue reading this. Um, Nova Scotia's child agent investigated. Oh, sorry, lost my spot, guys. Doesn't take much. Nova Scotia's Child Protection Agency investigated the living conditions, a case file that has been reviewed by the minister responsible for child welfare, Scott Armstrong. So that is who they're talking about, right? Who reviewed the file. He's the minister responsible for child welfare. Scott Armstrong, Nova Scotia's Minister of Opportunities and Social Development, confirmed in an interview that the agency had a file on the children prior to their disappearance, but said it would be inappropriate for him to discuss the agency's findings. So he's obviously gone through the file, had the file, right? Possibly still has it, but I agree with Ginger. It's probably most likely been handed over to our CMP. Um, with Jack and Lily still missing, and the police investigation underway, it's not the right time to dissect the agency's prior involvement, Mr. Armstrong said. I disagree, but anyways. Well, you just keep going and working on that bill there, Mr. Armstrong, because that's what's important, right? Shutting everybody up. And that was in my last video, if anybody's interested in what I'm talking about. We have no idea where those kids are, and we should be focused on helping them and finding them and supporting this family, he said. Man, oh man. Asked whether a review has been ordered into his agency's prior interaction with the children, he said, as minister, I've seen a report. So those reports would be in the file. I'll talk to that, which we know that we already know that he had or has because he stated it above. I've personally seen the report. I asked for it, he said. I'm aware of how our department was involved in this. So he would have went through the whole file. He added, I think we should be focused more on these kids than we are on looking to blame somebody. It's not about blame. And for someone to even think that way, that's what really bugs me is that old way. And especially this day and age. We should be past that mentality of thinking it's about blame. When you can't take a look at something to try to do better, it's not about blame, it's how to do better. It's and people, allowing people and those family members of the victims to advocate for change. Um, but they're trying to strip Nova Scotians of that. So, and again, like I said, you can watch my last video if you want to understand what I'm talking about there. Mr. Armstrong said, there may come a point when the agency's involvement with the children is deserving of more scrutiny, but now, 7 weeks into their disappearance, is not it. Daniel Martel, who was in a common law relationship with the children's mother and was living with them when they went missing, told the Globe and Mail in an interview in May that a social worker with Child Protective Services visited the home several months ago. The visit was prompted by concerns that had been delayed by someone at the children's school and related to their developmental delays, said Martel, which we know that's not true. That's baloney. The children's mother, Malaya Brooks Murray, said she had no comment in relation to Child Protective Services involvement with Lily and Jack. Mr. Martel has said he had nothing to do with the children's disappearance and has nothing to hide. I'm keeping the story alive and keeping everyone's hopes up, not just my own, Mr. Martel told the Globe and Mail in May. bite my tongue. He also said Ms. Brooks Murray had no involvement in the disappearance. Oh, it's so interesting, right? Because we all know what he actually really says when he's not talking to media. I know Malaya has nothing to do with anything. Child welfare authorities investigate when a report of suspected abuse or neglect is received by the agency. In Nova Scotia, every person has a legal obligation to report concerns. And that's the thing, it's everybody's obligation, not just because you're a nurse or because you're a teacher, doctor, or whatever. It's everybody's obligation. Every person has a legal obligation to report concerns of suspected abuse or neglect of a child. The law stipulates that teachers and other child care workers have an added duty to report. The disappearance of Jack and Lily has prompted one of the largest ground searches in the province's history. Ms. Brooks Murray told police that Lily, 6, and Jack, 4, wandered away from their home in Lansdowne on May 2nd while she and Mr. Martel, her then common law partner, were sleeping earlier that same morning. Around 6:15 a.m., she reported both children would be absent from school, according to Mr. Martel. He told the Globe and Mail that Lily had a cough and Jack was kept home as a precaution. The RCMP's Major Crime Division, involved since day 2 of the search, has since seized electronic devices from the children's home, conducted polygraph tests, analyzed hours of video footage from the road outside their residence, and searched septic systems and abandoned mine shafts in the area. So far, the children appear to have disappeared without a trace. The division, whose primary role is to investigate foul play and homicides, has repeatedly said there is no evidence the children were abducted. And they still say that to this day. The day after the children were reported missing, Ms. Brooks Murray left her home in Lansdowne. She cut off contact with Mr. Martel and later changed her Facebook status to single. Nova Scotia and Ontario are the only 2 provinces without a child and youth advocate. And again, I discussed that in my last video. I discussed that. And I also discuss the bill proposal regarding the new amendments. Very important. Very important. It's going to have a major impact on this case. Both provinces rely on provincial ombudsmen to impartially investigate complaints related to child welfare. However, those watchdogs are also responsible for reviewing many other agencies and departments. Just one second, guys, I'm going to sneeze. Oh, excuse me. Oh, excuse me. Oh, I thought I paused that, and I guess I didn't. I'm sorry. Um, The role of child and youth advocate is dedicated to advocating for, okay, so yeah, the role of the child and youth advocate is dedicated to advocating for protecting the rights of children. The office may also review and investigate deaths or injuries of children receiving government services. With the $300,000 budget that they so kindly gave. More than a year ago, Nova Scotia's progressive conservative government introduced legislation to create a dedicated office that would be an independent voice for the rights of children, but the initiative has not moved forward. Mr. Armstrong said he is personally committed to creating such an office and hopes to be able to share more details in the fall. Where he the details are they gave them a measly $300,000 budget when other provinces have budgets in the millions, and Nova Scotia has a higher population and has two major concerns going on. Two missing children that CPS is connected to, and the highest trafficking rate in all of Canada. So, you know, but he thinks we shouldn't, he uses that word blame. Well, how about change? Positive change. Anyways, little sidetrack there. Sorry, guys. The minister also said his department is taking steps to reduce the workload of child welfare staff. Well, it sounds like it, including improving recruitment efforts for new social workers and adding administrative roles to reduce paperwork done by frontline employees. On Thursday, the province announced a reward of up to $150,000 for anyone who comes forward with information about the missing children. Yeah. Okay. So, so we know where the file is now. Yeah. Or we know where it was. And quite possibly, oh, thank you for saying bless you, Novah. I thought I had it on pause, and then when I went to take it off pause, I guess I didn't click it quick enough. I was trying to click it quick and then sneeze. Um, and just go back here so I can read your comments. Um, there's a lot more stuff I wanted to go over, but I've been on here almost 2 hours, so it's probably not going to happen. Um, yeah, so yes, and I agree. I think it's with them or it's still with the minister. Nobody should be speaking on anything within any file of the CPS, since that would be exactly. And things can get sidetracked so easy. Um, and I like to try to steer it back on track. The file is not missing. So and I don't want that to start to become uh the focus, right? Because the file's not missing. It's not missing. Um, Doctors don't lose people's medical files. That's right, they are digital. Same with police and CPS, I would think. I don't know about CPS. And um, I don't know if all files are digital now. I can tell you before I left work, like our charts were still paper. Now I don't know about acute care. Um, I don't know, but we still had good old paper files, and which to me, I think honestly they should be kept that way. But that's in my opinion. Um, yeah, and I don't know how CPS does it. I don't know. I kind of feel like they're probably still paper too. I just have a funny suspicion, but I could be wrong. Um, but nonetheless, uh, yeah, it is about child safety, not blame. Exactly. Anyone who looks at something that way and is not open to, you know, we're committed to taking a good hard look at this to see what we can do to, if there's anything on our end that we can do better, which we know there is. We know there is. That's a definite. But still say it, right? Uh, that's a problem. That scares me. That scares me because in those fields, uh, you know, uh, child welfare, nursing, in those areas, you have to be. And we know that now. We know that now that you have to be. Um, yeah. Geez, that minister sounds like an idiot. I agree. I agree, Ariel. 100%. And thank you for the bless you. And thank you for the bless you. And I'm so sorry I sneezed in all your ears. As a childcare worker in Ontario, I cannot speak on any reports I made to CPS or about court case I participated in. Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And, you know, I would think that it would be the same in your office. The case, your workload and the cases you work on would be privy to you, not everyone in the office, you know. I would think it would be similar to nursing. Uh, m- Burp. Shell Spirit Chair 111 did a read on Darewood, and Jack and Lily knew Darewood stick. Okay. Yeah, I know, Mel, exactly, right? And when they put it on the news, it was like this little tiny blurb uh after the weather or in between the weather. It was just ridiculous. It was just this little blurb, and like most people don't even know. Most people have no idea. Um I don't even know how I ended up seeing it because I'm not a big news watcher, but if there's something specific going on and I'm like, "Oh, okay, I wonder what they're saying in the news about that," I'll look at the news then. And it was something else that I was checking to see, like, what's being said in the news about this, and here that was. And I was like, "What the heck?" Like, ooh, nobody heard it. People who are waiting to hear about it. Who were in my chat, and I asked them, and they're like, "No, had no idea," right? Nova Scotia needs to allocate more funds to CPS oversight. Yes, absolutely. Yep, yeah. I guess children are important to the minister who's supposed to fight for their rights. Yes, yeah. And they need more CPS themselves, staff, and so Alex Strafford, you know, I mean, he did speak his disappointment. He was hoping for 6.5 million. Now, can you imagine how he felt when he was told 300,000 and then told also that they're not how did they put it? They're not making any concrete commitments for more funding in the future or something like that. You'd have to watch my video, my last video. Just very disappointing. So disappointing. Reducing paperwork isn't a good idea. No. Well, I think what they were saying was administrative staff who will do that paperwork to give the field staff to take that weight off of them. So, um, it depends, right? Because I know I can tell you as a nurse, like there's certain paperwork, no, I would have to do myself. But then there's other paperwork that I can have, and I did have when I worked in the office. I would have the administrative staff do, right? I would delegate what I knew I could, but I would never ask them to do something that I knew I had to do. You have to be careful what you're delegating, right? To your administrative staff. Um, I just found you about an hour ago. Oh, well, thanks for being here, and please feel free to Sub up? You're in Manitoba? Yeah. I don't know, Ariel, I don't know if you were here when we played the video. If you want to go back later, or you probably have already heard and watched it about the two teens who were plotting a school attack, one here in Nova Scotia and one in Manitoba. I believe it was in Manitoba. I always get Manitoba and I don't know, another place mixed up out that way. Uh They used to use ICM database. Okay. I don't know what that is, but not sure currently. Yeah. But it's long been standard to type documentation into the database for social services for at least 20 years. Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. See, I don't know anything about it, honestly. Um, Nepotism is small communities in small communities is a big problem in Canada. Yes, this can cause many conflicts of interest. I agree, Ginger. 100%. Yeah. Oh, okay. Integrated case management. The reward is half the budget. The reward is half the budget of child welfare. Not sure what you mean there. Sorry. Sorry, Ariel. I'm not picking up what you're laying down. My apologies. There was an audit about its shortcomings. Oh, that doesn't shock me. Doesn't shock me at all. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hard to say. Changes so much. But hey, I hear you're getting a huge budget for a launch pad for the space program. Oh, yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt it. Here in Nova Scotia? You gotta be joking. Please tell me you're joking. Please tell me you're joking. But I wouldn't doubt it. That's the stuff that makes me so mad. That, like, and I just don't even want to go in, go start going on because, well, I get so fired up and I'll get myself worked up. And yeah. Yes, I watched that story about the team plot. Sickening. Yes. Sorry, guys. My voice is starting to. It's because of my issues that I have, and my vocal cords are not the greatest, and the left side is weak. Um, so my voice is telling me we're done. It's saying hello, we're done. Oh my God, Ginger, stop. Here in Nova Scotia or Canada. Oh, that's what really bothers me, where the money is put. And then they'll try that crap. Oh no, that's a different pot. That's a different pot. The Canso spaceport. Oh my geez. I'm gonna have to look it up. Gonna have to look it up. Belinda believes. Hi, thanks for being here. Nice to see you. Yeah, I'm gonna have to look it up. $300,000 for CPS budget in Nova Scotia. Sorry, I must have misheard. No, no, you didn't. Watch my last video. You didn't mishear. You'll see it on the news. So you know I'm not trying to make up a joke. Oh wow, that's crazy. Cancel spaceport. Okay. Mm. Well, all right, guys. Like I said, I honestly had a whole bunch more stuff there to show you, but because we get it kind of that video there to go through that whole thing was a little bit of an extra thing. Um, but it is nice to hear all that again and have a refresh. There wasn't much of it that I forgot. I think I forgot about the Rams and like Ginger said, uh, what'd you call it? Ramming goats? Because I think in the end we found out it wasn't even rams, it was goats. But I will see you guys again. Of course, I always want to come on the next day, but I know my body is going to need a little rest because that's just how I am. And but if I can, if I'm feeling good tomorrow, I will come back on and we'll go over the rest of the stuff that I wasn't able to get to. Yeah, it's a bunch of interesting stuff. Um, yeah. Lots of love to you all. Lots of positive vibes. Thanks for being here. I'm so glad you all came and spent a couple hours with me, a couple hours of your time. It was very nice to spend a couple hours with you all. I will show the missing posters and the unsolved homicides posters um, on the way out. Okay? And yeah. Oh, don't worry about it, Belinda. Go back to the beginning. No big deal. You can watch it anytime. No big deal. Um, all right, guys. Lots of love to you all. I will get back on tomorrow if I can. Like I said.